Welcome back to Kicking It Real. I have Carla with me today, and I've been trying to be better at introing people, but her official title, we're gonna call it boutique fitness consultant, but you've done everything.
Yeah.
Gosh, literally everything. When I was writing your outline, I had to do it multiple days because I was like, oh my gosh, how do I transition this?
Yeah, I'm giving you a little bit of a job to do there.
No,
So
it's
sorry
been
about that.
fun. No, it's great. 'Cause, college, I wasn't even going to touch on college dance, but I think we need to. Living in China for so long, businesswoman, fitness, God, essentially, fitness God, and not the bodybuilding, what's but anyway, there's so much to get into, building everything from the ground up. We're gonna start with our questions. What you're kicking it with lately?
Yeah. Kicking it with this year, I am trying to maintain realistic goals, especially around fitness. So I think because I've been in the fitness world forever, it's always been like, oh, we got to get in 5 to 6 times a week. We really got to make this a top priority. But now I've shifted into more of the business side of fitness rather than just being a coach. So really just focusing on my 3 to 4 is what we're working with right now.
Okay.
Allowing that number to adjust as needed, not being super hard on myself if we don't hit it, but just also being like, okay, what happened this week that didn't allow it, and how can we reprioritize for next week?
And I think it's not talked about a lot either, how as a fitness professional, it's so hard to then start taking class.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people start teaching fitness because they love it, which is great, and they should do that. But then it's oh, now I'm always at the studio doing things. And crazier. We're serious. But I love that. I'm also trying to find my fitness routine and what I like and what's gonna work and all the things. So I love it.
Yeah.
Kicking to the curb. What are we done with?
We're done with financial anxiety. It's always been something that I've been really stressed with. I've always been someone to any money when I was even in high school that I would get from a Christmas present or a birthday present, I would save it and be like, okay, that's going to be my gas money for the next 3 months or whatever it is. It would always go to a bill where I'm still a very frugal person. I don't drive a super nice car. We live in an affordable area in Austin. I'm not looking to just be spending crazy to the point where now I'm in debt, but I just want to feel more confident and just honestly relaxed about just treating myself here and there.
Yeah.
And paying my bill. That's always been something I've been stressed about. And it's oh, I have this little extra money. Let me make sure I save that because I don't believe I'm going to have it again. And so now I'm really just wanting to say, to just put trust in it. Everything has been working out, but it's only been a few years of pulling out of savings and investing in myself and my business. And now that I'm getting those returns, okay, we gotta put trust in it.
Yeah.
You gotta relax.
No, I feel that's so hard for me. And I have been finding all of my money, a lack of abundant, what is it, the abundance thing where I also, you don't even know that it's happening. I feel half the time, and I'm oh, I have issues. Also, if you need to invest, we can just talk to your
yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
It's the same where he's invest everything, but and then it's still so frugal. But it is in a good way because you want to be smart, but then also I don't know, rewarding yourself. I think it's hard, and allowing yourself to. There's that one quote where it's people don't I'm gonna butcher it, but celebrate their wins because it's their obligation.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel it's that where you're oh,
that is so me.
Yeah, I don't need to treat myself.
No, and I feel I was talking with Arthur, my boyfriend, over the last year. I feel I did so many things that I've been wanting to do for so long, and I never stopped and celebrated any of them because already the next thing was coming in, which I'm super, super grateful for. But then the end of the year came, and I actually felt a little bit of just kind of sadness and emptiness over it because I'm it just came and went. And I spent so long sitting there wishing for it, wanting it, working hard for it. And now it's gone. And then you kind of feel you need to go immediately into the next thing because
that dopamine hit.
Yeah. And it's away from you. But I think if we could have, I want to be able to stop and have the confidence to whatever it is, take a trip or go for the dinner or whatever those things. Not even just because of the money side of it, but I also think it's so important to just slow down and take that opportunity to reflect and have gratitude and enjoy it for a minute because it was a lot of work to get there.
Work, which I wonder, I'm like so bouncing ahead of like, all the things like, oh, I wish like I would have been better at this, but I also then like on the flip side, not to encourage like hustle culture that intensely, but then it's like, I wonder how it would have, maybe it wouldn't have affected us at all though if we were able to like slow down
Yeah.
and affect it, but also like the seasons of life. But we're gonna get into that.
Mhm.
I almost wanted to skip college because it's like so like minute in your story now, but I feel like it's like a good, you have a lot of like, we have a lot of similar things in this, but first off, why did you choose dance?
Mm.
And because you majored in dance, got your BFA, like why was that your choice?
Yeah. I mean, I loved dance my whole life. And then getting into senior year of high school, I didn't really know what else to do. Like I was always good at math and I was good at these other things. I was always in like AP honors classes, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I probably should study something quote unquote real is what I was trying to tell myself. Not that dance isn't real. And, at the time it's a hobby. It's an outside of school thing. And then so thinking about making it a career, especially in the world that we live in, it's not super supported. So I kept trying to talk myself into other things and I really just, nothing was exciting me. And I think that there was also a little bit of stubbornness in me that was like the thing that I was good at.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to pursue it. And so I just decided, okay, let's go for it and did the auditions. And where we went to school, Western Michigan, was not what I expected to go to. It was actually like, I went to that audition more as a practice audition. I didn't want to go to school in Michigan. I want to go to Alabama or I wanted to go to Oklahoma. I was always going to come south.
Okay.
And I wanted to get out of the winters.
We relate on that. Yeah.
And then I ended up auditioning for Minnesota and Western Michigan as well. And again, those were going to be like more, we'll just see, give myself some options. And then those were my top two choices in the end. So
because of the like,
because the program. Yeah. I actually felt like the dance program was so much better than I expected it to be. I felt really confident at all the other, well, actually, no, I also did not think I was going to get into Minnesota either. But I really didn't think I was going to get into Western Michigan. And then when I got in, I was like, okay, this is the school I have to go to because I feel like for the first time, I'm going to be in a room around people that are really, really, really going to push me. I grew up in a recreational program. So like we wore fuzzy socks to ballet. It was like not that serious. And that's so good. Like it was very, very relaxed. And I wanted something that was going to push me. So that's why I chose dance. I didn't really know. I did know I wanted to teach. That was my goal. I originally was double majoring in physical education because I came from a high school dance program that I wanted to then be a teacher of. But as I got through that more and more, I was like, oh, I don't think I want to go this route. And then that's the reason I went for my BFA was I was like, okay, I'm going to try to perform first. If anything, I can always go back to grad school and do an education degree.
Yeah. That's so real. Like I remember feeling the same way where I was in those classes and my AP calc teacher really wanted me to be an actuary. And I was like, I don't even understand what that is for I can do what you teach me and I can do numbers, but like, what does that even look like? And it's hard to even envision anything. I always joke anytime I talk to anyone about if they would have chosen differently or dance or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even I didn't know other jobs. I was like police fan. Like that was all I knew.
Yeah. Like your life kind of revolves around it. I didn't really know anything about the outside world. Now I obviously have a lot of other interests, but at the time it was just like go to school and as soon as possible go to dance or back.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's also fun fact that we lived like how far? Like maybe like 30 minutes. Like that were suburbs from each other, but we met in college and you were a senior and I was like the little like freshman. I was like, oh, Carla's so cool. And like I was like really like pieces. And I was like,
and meanwhile, I'm like the most incompetent person in the world.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you was because like you did not read as that at all. Like I thought you were like I still do, but like I thought you were like the coolest person ever. So, like what just like we don't have to get into it too much, but like what was your experience like and like how did that kind of shape you post college?
Yeah, I think, we got a good amount of reality. I came from being voted best dancer in my high school. So no big deal but like not getting any of the dance roles in college. Right. So that was a huge shift for my mental health and my overall sense of self-worth. And because all my self-worth was attached to dance. And then I know I appreciate that our instructors, our professors were honest. Like, this is really hard. If you want this, you have to work at it every day. And it kind of needs to be everything for you. This isn't like you do it for a few hours a day and then you leave it. Yeah, you really do need to invest everything into it. But I think I started to really feel overwhelmed with that. And I pursued a study abroad program between my junior and senior year. And it was made clear to me that was not the right decision if I wanted to be successful in dance. And that was my first time where I was like, well, I really want to do these other things too. And now I just feel like dance is holding me back from living my life and exploring other sides of myself. So after I graduated, I did actually book a job, and then I didn't go through with it. And I eventually did some gigs and things, but I really just was like, I need a break. I need a break, and I need to just do literally anything else.
Yeah, which is like, you know, a good way to learn, just an expensive way to learn, I guess.
Yep.
Like, you don't have to pay, so it's fun.
Yeah. It all worked out in the end, but yeah, tens of thousands of dollars a year to then realize this is not actually what I want to do.
Which is like great, which is fine.
Yeah.
But performing wise or teaching, because now we have to get into like China, which you went. I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I went to China to be a dance teacher. Like, I got us, but that I figured, I think my contract was 10 months originally, and it was for a children's dance school. And I more so did that because I wanted to live abroad than because I wanted to be a dance
So you
teacher.
wanted to live.
Yeah, that was 100% my top goal.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was, I would have done anything really.
Yeah.
But it was great that I could do dance.
Yeah, like, and combine it all. And were you nervous, like China specifically?
I never picked, like, China ended up falling in my lap. I never thought about it. But I got a connection through, I was a part of Movement Exchange at our school, which is a nonprofit where they do exchanges in Panama where we come and teach, but they also teach us. We go around the country, that sort of thing. And so someone else that had been an alum of that program was living and working in China and just posted like, oh, I have a dance teaching job in China. I can connect anybody if you're interested. So I responded to that, and 3 weeks later I was on the plane.
I do like briefly remember, like, social media wise, like that timeline, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Because at that point in my life, I was like very comfort zone. So I was like, that's so cool. So you can...
I mean, I was terrified, but I also just basically said, let's just say yes, because then I appreciate that there was not enough time for me to talk myself out of it.
Yeah, that's so real. And like, you're just like, okay, go. But you've always kind of been like just strong-willed, like, I'm just gonna do it. So
yeah, it's very hard to talk me out of something. If I've decided I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Don't care. You can tell me the world's shutting down there. Like, I don't care. We're gonna go.
Yeah.
So you get there, but then in the job, what you thought it was gonna be?
No, not at all.
I got this on social media too. Like, I was like, what's happening? I need to see.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time because I'm only 22, right? I'm 22. I just moved to a country that I've never been. I don't even know how to say like hi or thank you. I didn't ever study the language or anything. I get there. They give me an apartment. They give me a visa. They pay for my flights and everything, and then I get a salary. So it's like a pretty good situation. I was working 3 jobs back in the US and I wasn't making as much as they were going to pay me to teach 2 days a week.
Which is awesome. It's cost of living
significantly lower.
So
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. No. So all of that was great. But the studio wasn't actually open. So there wasn't students, and it's a children's school. So it's not like a fitness studio where you open and then people are going to come in and like drop in.
Right.
But they're like, no, you need to be here for the classes that are scheduled. And I said, I mean, that's fine. I know no kids are going to come, but a lot of things about Chinese work culture is you need to show face. So you need to be there. It's still a value to be in the workplace, even if you are not working, which I didn't know at the time.
And you're getting paid to just be there.
Just paid to be there, but then I was getting criticized that I wasn't actually doing any work. So then they were like, you need to be studying on how to be a better dance instructor. And I said, no problem. Like, I'm very happy for development. Like, if you have resources that you would like me to be reading through and studying, I'm happy to be doing that with my time as well. And then they asked me to help with the professional company rehearsals. So I was supporting with that. Then it was made clear, like, no, you aren't actually supposed to be giving feedback here. Now you're overstepping the director.
Wait, what are you supposed to be doing?
Exactly.
What?
It was just a total mess. And then there were issues with the male dancers making me feel very uncomfortable and the director not supporting me with that. And that's when I was like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Did they, this is so random, did they speak English? So
A couple of them could, but it was like one guy who just kept making just like hand gestures at me. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was very, and then the other one would come over and like translate and be like, he thinks you're really hot and wants to take you on a date. And I'm like, we don't even speak the same language. Like, what are we gonna do? Just like gesture, I guess. Modern dance gesturing. Like,
You do, what is it, the count, like the.
yeah. So then it was like, well, you're wearing inappropriate clothes to rehearsal. And I'm like, I'm wearing a leotard and tights.
I mean, it's hard, I'm sure, in general, just like, that's why I was like, China is it's not like Europe where, yes, there's a lot of cultural differences, but like not as many, and like the language barrier a little bit.
But yeah, we had an Australian director. So like it just, I didn't think that part would be as crazy, but actually my dad, he hired a PI before I left. He didn't tell me until years later. And he looked into who was going to be my boss, the director. And they told him, he's crazy, he's insane, but like, your daughter's gonna be safe. Like, he's not gonna hurt her. But my dad thought I was maybe getting kidnapped or something. You know, fair. That's like, who is this person? But
I don't think he's like only abusive and can come like say, right.
Yeah. So he told me that years later, but I get that. He knows me. I was going to be too stubborn to, if he would have told me that and said, this is not going to be a good boss, don't go, I would have been mad.
And then not told him if things were.
Right. So she's like, she's just going to have to go figure it out.
That's insane. So at that point, were you like, should I go home? Because you obviously didn't need me at work.
Yeah, no, my rule was I'm going for a year at minimum. So like, if I'm quitting this job, I need to go find something else. So the weekend before I quit, I had a meeting with the fitness studio that I eventually worked with for 4 years. And I just approached them and said, are you guys hiring? And they said, yeah, we actually have a cycle instructor training this weekend. We're flying the consultants in from LA. Or like it starts now for over the next 2 months.
Yeah.
And they were from obviously the US. And then my boss there, the owner of the company, and then the GM, they were American. So I just had meetings with them and jumped into that. And it was perfect timing.
I would say that's perfect because I was gonna ask, like, how did you train with like to become that? Is that common in China for them to outsource like American or people to
now they like that same company, they have their fitness manager is Australian. I've gone back and done programs for them. There's lots of other studios bringing people in. It's a lot of foreigners kind of leading it because it's a very new industry in China. So just kind of jumped in. But it was a training with no guaranteed job at the end, as most of these are for fitness, right? So and it wasn't paid. So I went over there with maybe like $5,000 in savings, and I'm out of college. I'm 22. I'm thinking I'm rich. Like, no problem. I'll pay my bills. I'll get an apartment. Yeah, obviously that money like was gone very, very quickly. So in the meantime, I was tutoring English. Just all over the place. So I would do my trainings, and then Beijing's a massive city. So you'd be like 1 hour on the subway this way to go to one client, 1 way on the subway, 1 hour on the subway to go this one.
And that's normal.
Yeah.
People just do that there. Oh my gosh, I need to go to China one day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But when you started teaching that, were you like, this is a means to an end, or like, because you made it so full time now?
Yeah.
Was that your original thought?
No, I mean, I guess when I first started, I thought, this would be a nice complement to trying to pursue dance.
Mm-hmm.
But then really, really quickly, I was like, oh no, I'm just going to go all in on this.
Yeah.
And at the time, I never had a 5-10 year plan of what it was going to look like. Honestly, it wasn't until we did this group chat with a bunch of my friends, and every day we'd pick a different person to roast. And then it was my day to be roasted. And someone made a joke about how I'm going to have no longevity in my career. Like, I'll be basically homeless in 5 to 10 years once I'm too old to be a fitness instructor. And I actually had not really thought about it that much. Of course, in dance and in everything, you're going to hit a ceiling. But I'm like, okay, yeah, what am I going to do?
22, 23 too. You're like, that's not.
No,
it's so far away.
And I actually think that that's like you should just don't worry about it so much. You're in your early 20s, just experiment and play and do things that you enjoy, and things will naturally fall together, which I feel like they obviously did. But that was when I first started to think, like, I need to kind of think about this a little longer.
Yeah.
And just to get curious.
Being in a different country too, you're like, okay, that's a lot of different things to kind of navigate, but you did like so many cool things. So, and these, what I got to see in China, like what, can you just tell everyone a little bit about them? And like,
Yeah.
do you think that it was easier getting those cool opportunities in China versus maybe if you were trying to get them here, starting out in fitness here?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I've never done the US thing,
Yeah.
but until recently. But I do think that I was at a definitely a huge advantage because being a foreigner, you have naturally you stand out, right? And there is a sense of, oh, especially there would be certain times where I'm getting a job because I have an American passport. They needed someone with an American passport who could teach a cycle class in English. There's not, especially during COVID when most people left, there's not going to be that many people that fit that bill other than me. So, you know, I do recognize that there's a lot of luck there. That I was listening to How I Built This, and they're like, what do you think was luck and hard work? And I think it was definitely both luck and hard work for me. But yeah, I started teaching at a studio that had yoga, dance, cycle, hit, bar classes, and they trained me up in everything except for yoga. So I taught all those classes. I would teach like 25 classes a week. And then I also became pretty quickly, like a year and a half, 2 years in, I became an instructor trainer. So then I started doing that. And then by the time I was leaving, I left because my friend and I were going to, well, she had already left. I had one of our previous colleagues was working for the fitness mirror. So I had approached him and asked like, hey, you guys hiring any other instructors? So then I jumped in on that. And then from there, my friend and I started a online social media class based company, I guess you could say. So we started growing the equivalent of YouTube and the equivalent of Instagram.
This is
that sort of stuff.
And this is what I'm saying, where I'm like, you've literally
done. Yeah,
it's a lot. Like, it's so cool, and it's also what a cool privilege to be at a studio where there are so many different modalities. Because I remember it's probably around the same time I started teaching bar, and I was like, you know, she's doing everything. Like, how is she do? Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, but they
also a lot.
It was a lot. It was, and I mean, it was very quick. I think within like 3 to 4 months, I trained in cycle, dance, cardio, and bar. And it was very overwhelming at times, but we did bring in, everyone was from the US, like really high quality consultants coming in and training us. Andrea Rogers, who owns Extend Bar, she has instructor trainers underneath her that would go out, but they brought her in just to do it. So our company was not, you know, they were happy to spend, they're not messing around. They really wanted us to be like top tier, and they were kind of going the soul cycle route of like, they wanted us to be instructor celebrity sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of investment being made into us, which I was really rich.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Which is, you don't always see that.
No,
for sure. You had your social media, like you were the first person I ever saw that was like posting, at the time, maybe more like personal branding type of things. Like, was that because of your internet business, or what kind of got you started into that?
I've always, even since like the MySpace days, I've been obsessed with social media. Like, it's just been something I really like to play around with.
Yeah.
And I've just never taken it that seriously. I've just always understood like the more that you engage in it, the more that you are posting, the more that you just are spending time on it, the more that you're going to understand it. And it's just a numbers game. So, I mean, I have been posting probably consistently on Instagram, maybe not since college, but like I was the first person in my high school friend group to be using Instagram, and I would just post. That was before it was like not a bad thing to post more than once a day. You know, like I would just keep uploading like 20 photos so that I could get the cool edit.
It's like your Facebook, like a photo album, but like on Instagram, one singular post with like the frame.
Yeah.
Weird like filter.
Yeah. You know, like in my Facebook, I need to do a big clear out because I used to post, people made fun of me so much. First of all, I was on Facebook when I was in 8th grade, and all the high schoolers were coming at me like, you can't be on Facebook in 8th grade. You don't need that.
The bullying started
so real. But I mean, I think that I work on this with my therapist. Like, I do use social media as a little bit of an escape, which I need to work on that piece. But I genuinely do have fun with it. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was posting at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like recently that I really had figured out what I want to share as my business and what education I want to be sharing that relates to it. But then I was just like, here's me on the trip and here's me at workout and
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
But then I worked.
Yeah.
And well, I get into that a little bit more too. But that was just, and I remember too, like always being interested in being like, I was always so afraid of like what people were going to say. But I would ask you how you got over there, but I feel like you just don't. You never really had that. Like,
No, I mean, I've had it, but I've also just, I don't, my social media as it's evolved, I don't post for friends and family.
right.
So I actually don't even care if they follow me. I don't care if they engage in it because they're not going to purchase whatever it is that I'm trying to sell on there anyway. That's what it's not that I'm only on social media to sell something. I want to make an impact and I have, if people DM me all the time and ask me for advice and I respond, I'm not like, oh, here's the invoice, but I do want to make an impact. I do want to educate, but I knew that I'm going to have a business someday and I want to evolve this platform to relate to that.
And also like, but they're not the people you're trying to impact.
No.
You're just totally fine.
Yeah, they don't work in fitness, so they don't resonate with my content, and that's okay. And if they do think it's silly, that's fine. Like I'm eventually not going to be in their feed because they're not going to engage with me. So then they're not even going to see it anyway. And if they are, that's such a waste of their time and energy to be wishing me unwell or like making fun of me. So that's so much more of a reflection of them than it is.
I could not agree with that. I wish I would have like came to that Twitch investor myself.
It's hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
I love that. You kind of touched on COVID. How you stayed for a while.
Yeah.
This is not related to anything, but just because
Yeah.
I'm curious, like what was the shutdown like in China? Because from what we heard here, over here, it
Right.
sounded insane.
Yeah. So 2020 was actually super chill.
Okay.
We closed January 20th of 2020. Yeah, was when we closed the gym. And at that time I was like, oh, we're going to close for a week and then we're going to close for another week. And then we were closed till I want to say April. And then we were back in person.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here we
No
are.
masks because everything was really shut down. I mean, I lived in a very small apartment complex at that time, so we were able to come and go. But if you lived in a larger one, you would have to like sign out or you'd have to have a permission to leave. But like I could go on bike rides, I could go on walks, I could even sometimes go to a coffee shop. But then maybe the police would come around and be like, everybody needs to go home. It wasn't like a force, it was just kind of suggested. And I was never going to be somebody to argue with Chinese police.
Yeah, it seems not fun.
Right. No. So 2020 was fine. And that was one of the reasons that I did stay because my parents were like, please come home. I'm like, all the studios are shut in the US. So I'm going to come back, try to restart my career in a country that I don't have connections or work in. And I can't even go to the studio. We're here. Yeah. Here I could actually make money. And then I got the job teaching for the Fitness Mirror. I mean, that was something that came out of COVID, right? Which was like this digital fitness boom, which was a life-changing opportunity for me. And then I was like, I'm definitely not going home to teach in studio again. Like this is a much better lucrative experience for me. But then 2022, Hong Kong had a really bad outbreak of COVID.
Oh,
and
wow, that's so bizarre. Because we were like, done.
Right.
Which I thought we would never fly without a mask again. And then we're like, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the rest of the world was pretty okay. Hong Kong, I think it was also pretty lax at that point. But then they had a huge surge in cases. So a lot of the mainland Chinese that were living in Hong Kong went back to mainland. And the closest city is Shenzhen. They come to Shenzhen. Shenzhen gets too many people in their hotels because it's a mandatory 2-week quarantine as you enter China.
Right.
So then they bring a bunch of people to Shanghai. One of the hotels, there's something wrong with the airflow of the AC. It gets all the workers sick. They leave. We now have 50,000 cases in Shanghai, and it's a zero policy. Like if
the way this
city's
sounds like a movie.
Yeah. So then the city shuts down. They say it's going to be 5 days on the east side. There's a river that divides it. 5 days on the east side, 5 days on the west side. It's 61 days total. And we don't ever know when it's going to end. It's just like you wake up every day on your app. You can see if someone in your apartment complex was tested positive because you have to test every single day. They track it. And then you wake up and it's like, oh, at your address, someone was tested positive. So you are going to stay in quarantine for another 14 days.
Oh,
plus 14 every day. And you can't walk your dog. You can't take the trash out. You get food delivered to you when the government decides to deliver it to you. And whatever they bring you is what you're eating.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a literal movie nightmare, like apocalypse vibe.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize it was so much later. And then that's probably hard because you're like looking at your friends and family here, like living their lives, like nothing's happening. So then this is the point where you're like, okay, I'm maybe.
Yeah. Also because our contract with the fitness mirror didn't get renewed. Literally right before that happened. And at first we were like, no, we're cool. We're going to stay. Like our business is doing well.
Yeah.
We have like enough funds to survive like a couple, however long we need to before like we start getting some more contracts in.
Yeah.
Okay. But then as soon as this was happening, we were like, I think we're done here because we lost a lot of trust in what our life could look like. That's the epitome, I think, of what many people think living in China is like, oh, it's very authoritarian and it's going to be this way. And that most of our lives are very relaxed. Like I genuinely didn't think about what I have to say, what I can't say, you know, like it's just, you're aware. I appreciate that the Chinese government is just like more honestly honest with you. Like we're listening to you and we care about what you say. I think that still happens here, but we just pretend like it's not.
Just like, is it? And then people get debate about it. If it's
Right.
Like where it's like, no, we are.
Yeah. So at least like, you're just there, you know, and so you are respectful and it's not my country. So if I'm here and I'm benefiting from being here, I'll do what needs to be done and pay my taxes and shut up. And, but at that point, yeah, we were just kind of like, okay, we don't trust that this is not going to happen again.
Yeah.
So time to go. And I had already missed so many weddings and so many babies being born and all the things. So I left. My boyfriend stayed for another 7 months with my dogs.
Have you been home at all?
But not for 3 years.
Because even before COVID, you had.
Yeah, I came home. The last time I would have came home was Christmas 2019. And then I moved back in July 2022.
In 3 years. Oh my God. Did you like, your mouth was sobbing when you came home?
Yeah.
Like, I would be.
I'm almost surprised that because I came back specifically to make sure that I could go to my cousin's wedding and I was going to maybe surprise them at it. And then I was like, I don't want to like overshadow my cousin's wedding.
Yeah.
So I think I'll tell that. Like I did ask her for her permission. She was like, no, I think that'd be great. And I was like, you know what? No. So anyways, yeah, it was good. It was great.
I feel like that's probably the peak of the conflicting emotions, which I have been feeling a lot like in the past year of like, probably excited to go home and like happy to get out of your living situation, but like also the thought of starting over professionally. Like I feel like that had to be the most daunting thing ever because you were so successful.
Yeah, it was like I felt like I was at my peak and then I came down to nothing. And then I also knew I went home to live with my parents and I was waiting on Arthur to come back before we were going to move to Austin. So I also just had this 6 months of like, I really can't do
Like the waiting
anything.
period of like, you're just, and also we're the same of like, you want to keep going and keep growing and doing things. And you're like, I'm stuck, which is probably like hindsight was nice to slow down for a second.
It definitely needed, but yeah, again, this anxiety, it's not just financial anxiety that I have. It's just this overall anxiety over like losing time
Yeah.
and losing momentum and this constant thought of like, if I'm not working at it now, it's never going to happen, which I really need to get over. I went to Europe for 6 weeks and I tried to just use that time of like, oh, let's just travel. Like, let's just take some time to decompress and go see friends and see the world that I haven't seen in so long. And the whole time I was just like, you should be working. Like, how dare you? You don't even know how you're going to make money after this. What if you don't have money after this? And what if your career is over and you need to be restarting? You should be doing it now.
Gosh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I definitely had those feelings. It's hard to relax. It's hard to rest. I don't know if that is like the dancer rooted thing or like our generation thing, but it's.
But I thought about it. I was wondering this for you going from like New York to a slower Texas town.
Yeah.
What that adaptation was like for you.
No, it was it was nice in the sense of I had felt like I was like desperate for like slowing down and like I think also how you said earlier it was like a little bit of an escape for me as well of like okay like it was after my first season and I was like okay I did that and I knew I didn't really want to do anything else dance wise so I was like I'm gonna just remove myself and be here and it was nice but what my fitness experience too it just being here it's nothing like New York City and that was hard too like the slowing down of like wait, I'm used to, you know, these hungry artists and fitness instructors like wanting more, and that's just not the case here.
Yeah.
It takes a while to like mentally wrap your head around for sure, which is a lot. Did you have like a plan, like fitness wise, like because you ended up being at Teleport here, aside from like your kind of meltdown in Europe. Besides from that, how did you out like you were just like any like you wanted to go to solid core? Like what was that kind of thought process like?
No, I I had been a Legree client in China,
Okay.
and I was like, I'm never going to teach a class like this. Like I was all rhythm based movement
Yeah.
before, which is still like that's my baby. That's my like happy place.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I'm never going to teach a class like this. And then it, living in Arlington Heights, Illinois, it's a suburb of Chicago. There's not that much there. There is a cool school, studio Inspire. They have like bar classes and Pilates, and they
Okay.
also have like a treadmill and like weight training room and stuff. So that I was working there a bit, and I actually was able to pitch myself as a consultant. So I designed their bar classes, and I was training some of their instructors.
Beginning of the next era.
Yeah. I was like, oh wow, okay, maybe this is gonna work out. But then Solidcore was hiring. I went and took a class, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was so different than my experience with Legree. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Saw they were hiring. I could tell that that sort of machine, that workout was really blowing up. And
For sure.
I was like, let's just audition. I did my video audition from Ireland, from my friend's parents' living room.
Which you had to learn. Because you were working.
Exactly. While I was in Europe, because I was like, I can't just wait. So I did that audition. And I was like, if nothing else, I'm just going to go through the training, and at least I'll learn something.
Yeah.
And I'll get a little bit more of a look into what trainings look like in the US, and I can compare that to before.
So is that also where you audition, you go to training, but then you're not guaranteed a spot?
You are,
training?
yeah.
You are,
Yeah.
okay.
You're not guaranteed. So you still have to pass your evaluation.
Yeah. Is it a high pass rate or
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I was supported.
for pure bar as well? Like in theory, you could fail, I guess, but like if you obviously have the ability to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. It definitely is, but you are I felt that you were given the tools, and
They don't hire you with like an intention, like you might work, you might not. Like they hire you with the intention that you are going to teach, but you do have to put it over.
yeah, but it just is communicated that like, yeah, if you get to your final eval and you don't pass, then
Sorry.
yeah, which
It's fair.
yeah, it's kind of, I guess, a probationary period because you are also paid to do your training,
Right.
which a lot of studios don't do.
It's
So
really awesome.
so I appreciated that, and I figured whatever, let's give it a try. And I told them I was moving to Austin, and they said no problem. The Austin studios and we have instructors too, so you can teach there. So I figured, okay, at least I have like an in.
And transition, I think that's great.
Yes, yeah, and I had auditioned at Studio 3 as well. So that's a studio from Chicago, and then they also opened up in Austin. And
Yes.
I organized another girl that I went to college with. She was older than you, but she teaches there. And so I organized an audition with her, drove down to the city, but also the Austin lead instructor was coming in. So they both were there.
Great.
And so kind of got my toes wet into that. So I was just trying to set myself up again because I can't just wait till I'm somewhere. I gotta be ready.
I mean, yeah, which in theory, that's probably like a good example, like a healthy example of like, let me like have a job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because we were moving in with Arthur's parents. And I was coming from living with my parents.
okay, so that's why we picked Austin.
Yes.
I did not realize. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
His parents were living in Bastrop, which is about 45 minutes east.
Yeah.
And we knew that we wanted to be near family. He lived in China for 12 years. I lived there for 5. So we didn't want to go to Chicago.
Too cold. The parallels are so funny though. Like,
Yeah.
I went to New York for 10 years. I was there for 2 years. We said not his parent or his family lives here. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, so funny. Yeah, so that's where we ended up. But I was like, I want to get this moving because I know how long it takes to get enough classes as a fitness instructor in order to make a sufficient living. To then be able to move out and live on our own. And in China, also, every apartment that we got was furnished. But now we need to go buy furniture. We don't just pay rent. We got to do all these, and we need a car. We never had a car before. Now we're both going to have a car, and the car payment and the insurance payments. And we just were looking at our cost of living going way up. And I knew I was not going to make money anytime soon unless I like really started getting the ball rolling.
Yeah. I mean, at least you're not financially unaware. You know?
Yeah.
Like, cause that would be worse. Like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's like, you had a plan.
Yeah.
The brand, like in Solidcore too, I feel like it's such a nice, like, name.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that was good? Or like, did there come with challenges with that when you're trying to like, also, you're still like on the side building your brand
Yeah.
and like your business? Because like even in New York City, when I moved from here to New York City, like I had that as like a little, like, it was a nice background to have where
Yeah.
it wasn't like I'm teaching a fitness method or whatever, and then I live and no one knows what it is.
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
move from Chicago to Austin.
Yeah, no, I think it was helpful because it's obviously very well respected. So
Yeah.
to be able to get in and you just are meeting so many people in Austin, there it's a big team, but everybody's needing subs all the time. And I was just happy to pick them up. So I maybe only had 4 classes on the schedule, but I was probably teaching 15 classes a week. And I just was like, get me into as many. I just would say yes, 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 yes to every.
That was literally me. I was like the obnoxious girl, like known as like I was in the Slack channel. I'm like, I got it, I got
Yeah.
it. Like, I mean, like I was like, I would go 45 minutes to like Brooklyn to be like, I'm gonna go teach because I need classes. But then it really does pay off, and I feel like people don't, not just in fitness, but like in life, like don't understand the like grind part of it.
Yeah.
And especially like you coming from where you were to having to start over, but you recognize that you have to say yes to things. Aside from just picking up classes, how did you know when to say yes and when to say no to different opportunities that maybe didn't initially benefit you right away?
Yeah, I think I've had to learn that over time. Like it was a yes for everything at first. And then I had to start, again, it was a lot of it driven was by the financial anxiety. And I tracked every cent I spent and every cent that I made. Like I would have a running list of how many classes I would be teaching a month, and I would go in and check the commission and I would write it all down. And so I was always trying to make sure I at least could get as close to possible of breaking even. And then honestly, I was never breaking even. I was always pulling from my savings. And I was just kind of like, okay, if this is what we're doing anyway, we need to figure out how we're going to get out of this. And teaching more classes is not helping me get out of this. It's helping me get stuck in this. So I'm going to need to reduce now and go, instead of 30 classes a week, I'm going to drop down to 15. And I'm going to focus on getting another cert or these. Actually, the consulting opportunity that I did in the Philippines, designing a program there, did kind of come into play when I moved home. So I had that. I had the first call, I think, in 2022. I didn't go to the Philippines until 2025, but I was kind of nervous to lean into that because nothing was really set in stone right away. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start working on this as if I have it.
Yeah.
And because I don't have anything to lose at this point. So let's just start building a manual. Let's just start testing out what this product is going to look like. And it was, I guess, a financial investment because I wasn't making as much money, but I just felt this is an opportunity for me to eventually make more and also do work that I'm really passionate about and interested in.
That's, I mean, you basically were manifesting it to happen though, because you're like, I'm going to make this happen and this is what I want. I'm putting that energy out there that this is going to happen. At that point, because we can maybe just transition into your consulting business. Were you ever thinking it was gonna become more of a business, or like you were just a one-off thing at that point?
I think once I had this smaller role in Chicago and then this was coming in, I had an idea that maybe this was something I was going to be able to do, especially because the first people that trained me were consultants who do have their own business doing this consistently. And then the person that put me in contact with them, Noelle, she has her own consulting business too. So I was kind of like getting more introduced to the fact that, oh, people do this. This is their full-time thing. Maybe this is something I could do too. But I did have a lot of conversations with myself and with Arthur where I was like, I'm always someone who has to think about the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to have a plan for what's coming after this. And I kind of just want to let myself enjoy this and just focus on doing a good job on this, because I actually think that is the most important thing to get to the next step.
100%. Because I mean, you need a portfolio at the end of the day.
Yes.
Well. So like there it is. That's your portfolio. And then I feel like it's hard to find the balance of, yes, you need to have a plan and like strategy to everything, but also like letting go of it a little bit and being able to be like, yeah, like maybe I'm not making the money right now, but this is going to long-term benefit me and eventually make me more money. And it's fine how you said like getting stuck, because we talk about not on the same level, but even in New York, how when it's so expensive to live there, and if you don't have a plan like that, you can get stuck because you can't save. And it's the same as trying to create a full-time career in fitness, which is really incredible. Just because people probably don't know, could you very briefly talk a little bit more about like what the consulting business is, if someone doesn't know?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it can range from so much, but what I really focused on because of my instructing background and truthfully, like the frustration of working for a brand that did not have clear structures around instructor training and what their classes should be looking like, I've tried to fix that. So I'm really focused on designing programming that has codified measurable components to it so that an instructor coming in knows exactly how they're going to be evaluated and what they're expected to do. And then also aligning the instructor program to help them be successful in doing that, so that it just brings the studio management, the vision, the branding of the studio, and then their instructor team all together to work as one. So that's primarily what we've been working on. But we also do some support for operations and sales strategies and marketing strategies, that sort of thing too, for new studios, operational studios, that sort of stuff.
That's so cool. Which is cool that it's more on the studio like aspect of it, because I think also people who maybe aren't in fitness, there is so much, not all the time, but there can be so much disconnect from the more management side of things to the fitness instructor, like the people on the floor running the show. Like there is so much disconnect at times. What do you see as the biggest issue, or maybe one or two of the biggest issues that is overall like hurting the business at the end of the day, that maybe a owner management side doesn't think is doing any harm?
Yeah. I mean, communication is, I think, always going to be the big umbrella, because there's definitely things that I used to be frustrated with about management that now I'm on the other side and I understand just from experience. But I think that if that was educated to the instructors, there would be so much less of that friction, right?
Yeah.
But you know, what's very commonly talked about, instructor pay right now with core power, there's potentially the strike going on because of the frustration around pay.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, there needs to be a structure in place that is rewarding your instructor team. They are on the ground with your members every single day, and they shouldn't be your product, but they are a part of your product. They are facilitating your product. Your class is your product, but they are the one who is delivering it. And if they are not happy, your members are also not going to be happy. And sometimes it really, I can see that some studio owners, they are really offering everything that they can do. I can't say this. I've never worked for Core Power. I don't know what their system is like, but I know that instructors are sitting there and feeling undervalued. But again, there's like not that communication there. And then there's also just not other ways of acknowledging them put in place. Like, how are you rewarding them? Are you getting team gatherings together? Are you making them feel like they're a part of a community, something bigger than themselves? And because that's something that's rewarding too. And that does keep people around. The reality is there's a lot of instructors in our industry that are not working for money.
Yeah.
They aren't. And that's what also was a huge issue for me coming back, because I was advocating, well, I should be paid more because look at my experience. And they're like, look, we get that, but this girl who just got her cert 5 days ago is selling out a class. So as a company, you can tell me that, but you're not making me any more money than she is.
Right. So like what's the incentive then? How, because you were able to sell out so many of your classes, going to like the fitness instructor side of it, how were you able to foster that community? How much of it was you and what you were able to do versus just the brand itself, do you think?
Yeah, I think it depended on the studio that I was working for. I think that Solid Core does a really good job of consistency. Like that's why they have classes from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. and they're pretty much sold out for all their instructors, right? Whereas there were other studios that I worked for where I would be asked like, oh, can you sub? Because more people come when you sub. And I think that that's showing, okay, yes, I'm making an effort. I'm doing things that other instructors aren't doing, but I don't think that actually, I mean, I guess, yeah, that's something that I'm doing right. But that also means that's something that the studio is doing wrong.
Yeah.
Because why are you not then training those other instructors or creating a system to try to figure out what's working? So that's what I do now with the studio owners is I'm like, okay, you're telling me that your classes are selling out and the rest of your team is not. Send me a video of 3 of your different classes of the same format. Mm-hmm. And even better, if I can see some of your other instructors, and we're going to do an audit. I'm going to see what are you doing and what are they doing and what's happening and what's not happening. And then let's go ahead and codify, like you are using names in classes. You're shouting out your participants. Nobody else is doing that. Okay, we need to make that an expectation and we need to train your instructors on that. Because clearly, if it's only happening in your class and that's the one that's sold out, probably it means that people want more of that one thing.
No, 100%, which it's so interesting because obviously you're going to gravitate maybe personality wise, and you should always, allow people to have their personality. Yes. But then it's like, wait, but now all of a sudden, if you don't have a way to reward that person, then also they're going to probably go somewhere else because they're obviously doing something really well and they're good at what they do. So then they're leaving and then you have nothing.
Yeah.
Or do you see at all that sometimes maybe owners are focusing a little more on like the sales part rather than focusing on instructor and like the actual product of the class?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think this is again like the frustration that basically started my business was that when I worked for a studio prior to now, they were celebrating the instructors that had the highest class utilization. But what they were actually doing was they were going completely off brand. They were not teaching the class that we were trained to teach. They started adding in their own elements of it. And sometimes even they would say, well, that's why my class is better. But we would all be teaching under the same class name. And then management would be coming to us and be like, you need to go to their class and study what they're doing and do it. And I'm like, well, look, I don't have a problem with adapting, but then we need a new manual because I am following what I've been trained to do. And if our members are saying they want something different, okay. But I think the problem here is not that they're necessarily better and I'm worse, but we're confusing them.
Yeah.
They don't understand. There is no consistent product.
And also not for anything, that's not really your job to go like
No.
figure out what some person's doing different than you and then also retraining yourself to implement it
Right.
to yourself.
And it wasn't like they're using names and I'm not using names. It's like they're teaching an entirely different class structure. So,
Which is so hard. Just coming from your where it is like there is a rhyme and reason. Like
Yeah.
we do things. There's a high expectation of that. That's so like that concept to me is so foreign.
Right.
Of people doing their own thing. You've taught everywhere, and obviously without naming names. Did you see that often? Like, what are people just doing their own thing? And
well, I see it a lot at studio. Like I do a lot of market research now, and I see it a lot at studios, which legally this has to be the case that they're independent contractors, so they can't tell them how to teach. So they'll have like Matt Pilates on the schedule, but everybody is an independent contractor, so they can do it however they want.
maybe like a big boxy gym.
Yeah. And so I hear from studio owners a lot, like, well, how do I get my team aligned? Because this is the structure I have. I'm like, well, one, you can make them employees. Like that's going to be the easiest structure way. Obviously it changes things financially. But two, you can offer instructor development and make it optional and be investing in them because a lot of them want to be a better instructor.
Yeah.
Like they're not trying to make your business not do well. They're not trying to necessarily be different than the people that they're working with. But if you haven't provided any instructor development of like, this is how to do a great class, they don't necessarily know. And a lot of times if it's structured that way, yeah, it's like how you want it to be done at your studio. But it is also a lot of the times how to do a better class. And they're going they're going to be willing to do it because it's not being forced on them. Like you are paying for someone to come in and train them.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen. At a lot of places they have to invest in that themselves.
It's like also like the concept of gas my money to make money kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
And I've always, from a non-professional business standpoint whatsoever, it's always been clear to me, like, you just have to invest in your people. Like, if your people aren't happy, like, you're not teaching all the classes, you're not doing all the calls and all, like,
right.
Your people have to be happy. And that is always just a very interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
That
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Like, you also have to make it matter to them.
Yes.
Because if you're just telling them the business is not doing well, they come in and they make their hour, they pay and they leave. So you need to make it matter for them. How are they going to feel as an instructor after they teach a really impactful class? Or what is, if they are improving their class utilization rate, or they're improving the way that they are adhering to the brand standards, what do they get out of that after 6 months' time? Do they get a performance evaluation and then a pay increase or a bonus or more classes on the schedule? What are the consequences if they're not doing those things? Because if you don't make it matter to them and you're asking them to do more work, they're just going to say, why would I not just keep doing what I'm doing right now? Because my life is not going to change either way.
It's so real. And people don't like think about the other side of it. When you flipping to the instructor point of view, obviously you should be following the rules that you have in place. What do you suggest to people that if maybe they're at whatever they're teaching, they're working for someone else, do you think there is a major benefit of promoting yourself on social media? When do you think it's a good time for people to maybe transition somewhere else or start looking elsewhere? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think you should always go in with the best intention and assuming the best intention. Where if you choose to be there. So like I worked for a studio at some point, I was really involved in helping with their social media and posting my classes and posting reels and blah 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 blah. And I assumed best intent. After 6 months, I didn't see any other, maybe 6 months to a year, I didn't see any more investment in me. I didn't feel that it was really paying off. I didn't see any changes in my class numbers or anything. And I decided, okay, I've given this a really good shot. I've gone in and been supportive. I'm not really feeling that that's happening here, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And, I had sit downs and I had meetings and I had questions of how I could be improving my performance and seeking feedback. I think you should obviously be doing that as well. I do think that in the fitness industry, we can be quick to get frustrated with management.
I agree. Yeah.
Me included.
Yeah.
We have egos in this industry. We like to be on a microphone and we like to be seen.
We want to have Brittany mic on for a reason.
Exactly. And you are a good instructor because you have that. Like
Yeah.
it is part of the necessary personality. But a manager with 20 plus instructors, you are not their priority. And I had to learn that as I've grown and matured, that just because they are not constantly taking your class and helping you grow and promoting you, it doesn't mean that they don't care about you. They have a lot of things that they're doing. So like you need to go seek that feedback yourself. You should regularly.
I think that's anything too. Anything you're doing is like you have to take initiative. And I think that's the thing is like sitting back and waiting, especially in the fitness world. Like you have to create your own opportunities and like say yes to things and show that you want to help grow the business and you want to be a part of it. I think that's just an underlooked part of it and people get just complacent. But also, there are other people, maybe if you're in the suburbs of Texas and you just like want to go teach a class, that's also fine too, which is the beauty of it. But what would you say to someone that maybe it is in their younger 20s, wanted to make it full time? And how would that maybe in the US versus China?
Yeah.
Just because when I started teaching, I taught 1 million trillion classes at one brand and it was awesome because you got really good at it, but it also was like so burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way to avoid that and still make a career in fitness?
Yeah. I mean, I do think that the reason that both of us have been able to find success in it is that we taught a lot of classes. So I do think, teaching a lot of classes is important. Like do it while you're young, because I'm 31 now. I cannot teach 30 classes a week. Like absolutely. And even there is a season of life, like go do that now. But try to get certified in different formats, because you're also going to learn a lot from doing a training at one studio and another, and like dip your toes in a few different places so you can also find what's right for you. Because what I do, kind of going back to your previous question, is I think that I hear people sit and complain for so long. Like this studio doesn't pay me enough and this studio doesn't recognize me, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, we live in a country with so many options of where they teach. Yeah. So go and put yourself out there somewhere else, or teach at multiple places. And then you can kind of lean into the one that you really feel is investing back in you. And you can say goodbye to that opportunity that doesn't feel right.
Yeah. This get legal terms a little bit. I don't know how often there are like non-competes anymore. Do you recommend trying to negotiate that out of your contract?
Yeah.
Do you recommend studio owners to have non-competes?
Yeah. So studio owners, I always try to convince the ones that I work with in consulting to not have, because you don't want an instructor to work for you that doesn't want to be there. And you're kind of just signing them up like, oh, you minimum have to teach for a year or you owe me this money. If they're not happy and they found that out 3 months in, you're stuck with them for 9 more months. Like no one is winning in that situation. And they probably don't feel like they can even give you the appropriate feedback to maybe even turn it into a positive situation, because they don't want to get fired and then owe you money. Whereas on the other side, yes, I think as an instructor, you should negotiate it, but also like you need to kind of look up where you are. In Texas, you do need to be a little bit more concerned if you did sign a non-compete, because it is followed quite closely here. I do think we're maybe making them illegal like nationally.
I do think that might be real.
Yeah. Because I just think it gets ridiculous in the sense that if you're working at a studio, maybe 3-4 classes a week and they're paying you $30 a class, you can't even pay your groceries with that. So how are they going to limit you to go make a living? It's just completely unfair.
And it's the same concept of taking care of your employees of, oh, you can offer them is 4 classes a week. Like, and then you say, but you also can't do anything else. Like, that's not encouraging me to want to work for you.
Yes.
So,
No, you're just setting yourself up to have friction with your employees.
and to that point too, of like going back to like tying it all together, the brand consistency, it's like that lack of confidence in your brand.
Yes.
If you need help, contact Carla. She can help you. And like, if you have a strong class, you have strong branding, you have strong customer retention, all the things, like you shouldn't be worried. And if you're watching your instructors and they're teaching it the way you have wanted it to be, and it, you know it's going to be successful, you really shouldn't have anything to worry about. They can go teach somewhere else, and it shouldn't matter because the client that's at that studio likely would be at your studio,
Right.
even if it's a Pilates-based class. Like, they're all so different.
Right. Just a different experience, or they live 20 minutes the other way, or all the things. And you're also going to get, they're basically being upskilled, and you don't have to pay for that. They're going to go get more training, more experience that you cannot offer them in your studio.
Yes.
So let them go. And like you said, it's also probably going to support them in the long term because they're not going to get burnt out on this one format.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to be, most of us, we get into this because we want to impact clients. We enjoy the creativity. And we do that by teaching different formats. So like, yeah, just let them go. And as long as they're doing a good job for you, they're only probably going to continue to do that. And don't worry about it so much.
No, I love that approach. Moving into your new baby, not physical. She's not pregnant. No, this is your pregnancy. That's right here on the podcast. Which we've obviously like, talked about this prior, but like hear you talk a little bit more of the ins and outs. It's like really cool to see it like come together, rhythm former. Like, I don't know. I feel like it, like I said it's your baby, but like literally it's all of your experience and knowledge into one thing. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Like you said, I started all my original training. I mean, one, I'm a dancer, so rhythm is in my bones.
Yeah.
But then went into the bar, the dance, all that sort of fitness space, which is all going to be rhythmic based as well. As a Livery client, didn't really think I was going to be interested in that, but then ended up training on a modern reformer type of machine and figured, okay, I think this is a really beneficial workout. This type of training is great. It's great for your joints. It's great for your muscles. It's great mental strength wise as well. But I really miss the entertainment factor that I got from dance and bar. So how do we bring in this musical journey to this type of training? So yeah, so we designed Rhythm Former, and now it's evolved. Like some of the studios that I've worked with, they have their own codified method, but it's, all a similar style of the same way that if you go to a soul cycle class, they do like rhythmic cycling. Rhythm riding actually is like, I think the appropriate term. Many studios do rhythm riding, but they have their own codified method.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of trying to create now is like Rhythm Former as this. There may be other studios that are kind of doing their own version of it, more on like a traditional Pilates reformer, that sort of thing. But this is really codified, not only from these are the exercises that we do, and this is the way that we cue them, and this is the way that we offer variations, this sort of thing. The musical journey is also meant to be consistent, and we train instructors, on that as well. Yeah, we want it to be a consistent experience, but at the same time, what I love about it is that there's so much room for the instructor personality to come through because they curate their playlist. We teach motivational styles as well so that you're able to insert that into your coaching. Like it really is meant to be for physical and mental strength.
And there's like, there's proven science between moving within group of people to musically driven.
Yes.
Like music beats, like which is so cool. Obviously Pure Roar is what I and it's the same way. And it is hard. I feel like as a dancer, when I'm in a class, and I'm an active Livery client as well, and I love it. So no shame to that. But I find myself sometimes like moving to the music without realizing it. And I'm like, oh, like it's just natural. I'm like, oh, actually, well, I need to move a little bit. Like I can move slower than this, so I need to let it go. But it is such a underrated thing that I think is gonna be so cool. I'm so excited. And I didn't even understand the part of, or the aspect of having that as a thing you can purchase rather than a franchise. Because I immediately was like, oh, so you're franchising.
Right. Yeah. I don't have a brick and mortar, and it's not like a full business write-up plan. So there is so much room for the studios that we partner with to be able to create, what is it that they really want to say in their market? What are they really trying to do? They can own all of that. But what we own, which is what we really are experienced in, is the programming and the instructor training. And it's what I find, we see this in many companies. I think we're trying to pump out fitness instructors super, super fast, get them on the schedule, and like get that schedule as big as we possibly can, as quickly as we can. But we've designed it as there is a level 1 training that you're learning the basics. Then you go away, you do some practice classes, you even launch, you start teaching a little bit. Within a month, we're coming back and we're doing a refresher. Like what's going well, what's not going well, what can we review? Because if you're doing a 1-week training, you're probably absorbing, I don't know, hopefully 70% of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it is going to be, a lot of it's going to be lost. And it also depends on your previous experience too, right? So let's come back in and let's go over some of the things that maybe, you've really honed in on this, but this has been forgotten. And then in another 3 months, let's come back in and let's add more exercises to your movement library. Let's add on these advanced coaching skills, take it one step at a time, because I think that constant development is also, again, going to help people feel supported. They're going to feel like you're investing in them as a studio. And they're going to want to be around longer because they're continuing to learn. They're going to see themselves progress and get better. And all the instructors that I've trained so far, most of them, they teach elsewhere too. And they've said, whoa, this has completely changed my coaching, even outside of the studio. And I'm finding that my clients are listening to me better. I'm just being able to engage with them so much more confidently. And the music choices that I'm making, they're really enhancing my classes, again, in this studio and in others. So they're concepts, I think, that really help instructors overall.
There's so many too, and it's hard for me to even come up with questions because I do feel like Gilmore really prepared me so well. So then hearing your experience and even just stepping into other classes and seeing and maybe, each individual instructor is at a different point in their teaching journey. But when you go to a studio and you can see it over time and say, oh, like this is actually just not something that they know or maybe have been taught. It's so interesting. I'm so passionate too about like specific cueing and how it affects things so much, and even music choices. I mean, everything you said, and like the use of names is so underrated, because I know for me, if I hear my name in class, like I used to think, I was like, okay, who cares about, as a teacher, I'm like, I still did it, but I was like, whatever. But then when I kind of stepped into the client side, I was like, oh, I have good form.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. But then like being able to, they're shouting out my form, they're saying what's good, or they're doing that to someone else. And I'm like, oh yeah, wait, I'm actually not doing that. Like I need to do that as well. Not maybe for a shout out, but it's just like, there's so many things. And if you're listening and you're a fitness instructor and you're like, I don't even understand what you're talking about, like also check out your content, because you give so much incredible free advice. And I'm always just like, I could comment on every video and be like, yep, so good. I love it. Oh my God. It's a really cool thing. It's crazy to think, little you was going to be a dancer and now you're doing this, but sometimes it almost, to me, feels like more impactful. Not to say that dance is not impactful, but like how cool to be like maybe more hands-on and more in the front line of being able to see how you're impacting so many people every day. And like for me, it's always like when someone can come to you, even as a business owner, they can come to you and be like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing so much improvement, I'm seeing XYZ. And it's just like you're benefiting so many people in such a cool way, which I'm sure you would have never imagined.
Yeah, no, like like I said, when I jumped into fitness, I never had this plan. And for the longest time, I just was so happy to be an instructor and like be on the ground with my students. But I just think after doing that for 8 years, 30 classes a week, I just kind of got a little tired and burnt out. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I want to change what I'm doing, but I'm really passionate about fitness. I'm seeing the industry grow like crazy. But I'm also then seeing with that quality decline. And I don't think that it has to. I think that we have the resources, and I also want my goal for this business is to bring other fitness instructors in and turn them into consultants as well, because there are so many full-time, really smart, passionate fitness instructors who do feel stuck. Like I don't think that my story is unique at all.
I mean, you don't know what you don't know as well.
No, you don't. And I just was lucky enough, I think, because I was in China and I saw the consultants. Like here, if you're in, maybe if you're in Pure Bar or you're in a salad quarry, you see people working in a company, in a corporate company who have a training role. Right. And so maybe you think like, oh, I gotta wait and get until I can get that role.
Oh, I had no idea that was a thing. You're being told. I thought you were the first one to think of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, you're a genius, but you're a genius. Yeah, that's incredible.
But creating your own path, I think you kind of have to. I don't think that it really is possible to see long-term success in the dance world, in the fitness world, if you're not going to pursue some sort of entrepreneurial opportunity. Because now I work a full-time job as a instructor trainer, and I manage other master trainers and I train them to be master trainers. I would never have gotten this job if I sat and twiddled my thumbs and waited at my other companies to be given the opportunity to be a teacher trainer. I just had to go out and like start doing it.
It's that like brand loyalty that sometimes kind of
suck
a little bit, which is good for all these brands, and it's great. And maybe that isn't even shade at the brands.
No,
you're not they're a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if you have someone in the job, you don't need to hire more people than you
right.
have.
So it's no shade to them, but that's so cool. If someone wanted to become more entrepreneurial, I can't say the word, on their own, what would you suggest? Would it be like a business or a website, their social media, doing the colors, the logos? Like where did you start with your business side of it?
I started working before I did any of the things that I think people think they need to have a business. So I listened to one podcast about consulting. I don't remember the name of it, but what the person who said in it was, to be a business is to make money. It's not to have a website. It's not to have a logo. Those are marketing things that you can do for your business, but to be a business means you are making money. So go do the work. Because also one of the reasons I wanted to do the consulting work and just focus on that first job and not get too crazy about what's coming next is also like, I don't even know if I'm going to like it.
So, right. You can't invest too much into it.
No, exactly. They're like, oh, shoot, now I'm stuck in this. So go and try to, I would say, start with networking, because your first opportunity is going to come from networking. Get the first opportunity. And even do it, maybe it's free. Maybe you're not even being paid for it, but just like try to get some experience under your belt, because you need that. You need someone to vouch for you. You need proof of concept that you can do what you're saying you're going to do. And then if that's looking promising and you're able to roll that into more work, use some of that money, invest it into your website, invest it into your branding. I highly recommend 515 Code. They're the ones who did mine. There are two female entrepreneurs who work with a lot of other female entrepreneurs to help them do exactly what I did, create that branding and things. And they're awesome. And I feel like they also are very reasonably priced because they want women to succeed.
I love that.
I've been hearing from other friends that are trying to get started, and the quotes that they're receiving are they're not, people make your money. Like, good for you that you're charging that and whatever. But as you're getting started, I think obviously you don't want to necessarily put $20,000 into your website like you just got started.
And so you don't have to.
You don't have, exactly. Like, what are you going to do? That would have deterred me. That would have made me think, oh, I can't do this because I didn't have that, right? So start making your money first, because then you're going to be more confident that you're going to be able to reinvest it.
But if someone doesn't teach in fitness, but they were looking to teach in fitness, what would your advice be to get started?
I think my answer will be different than maybe some people. I think a lot of people say, go get a cert. I am not a big fan of the certs that I've gone out and got for myself, to be honest. I don't really feel like I gained.
What do you have?
I'm a certified personal trainer. I have a mat Pilates certification. I mean, I have my other ones. That's the ones that I've just like done online.
Yeah.
The other ones I've gotten like in person through the studios that I've worked for and things, bar certification. Yeah. I think those are probably like the only codified ones.
Yeah.
But the other ones are just whatever under the studios, their internal stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you can find a studio that will either not charge you to do training, or even better, pay you to do training, and it's a studio that you're really excited about being a member, a client at, go ahead and do that. Because there are so many studios now that will train you from ground zero, it doesn't hurt to have a little sense of anatomy. Definitely doesn't hurt to have experience in your own movement practice. Like, you should kind of understand it already. Be comfortable speaking. Maybe if, practice on social media, start filming videos about literally nothing. What did you buy at the grocery store? That sort of stuff. Because that you need to be able to speak in front of people. But I don't think that the first thing you need to do is go spend $400, $500 on a certified personal trainer.
No, I couldn't
Course.
agree more because it's not going to cover all the things you already just spoke on like the things you don't think about needing and that aren't, you don't need a piece of paper necessarily to become a fitness instructor, which is so fun. And I think being a dancer too helps a little bit, like the performance part, because I literally, not in a bad way, not that I'm being fake, but I'm like putting on a show. I'm like, hello everyone, welcome to my class. Like, let me motivate you. I get to be funny. I get to joke around and make relationships with people and also be thinking ahead in the music. I don't know. It's just, I think it's a really cool opportunity. If you could give your younger self a piece of advice, knowing what you know now, what would it be?
It'll be fine.
LOL.
Just breathe. It's going to be fine.
No, actually, it's not that deep. It's literally fine. I mean, that's a good one from you. Where can people find you to like connect? And if you're a studio owner and need help, please reach out. Or honestly, if you're just teaching fitness, because there's so much free advice like we were talking about. If you don't know you have a resource, like just binge.
Yeah. Binge, fine. Yeah. No, on Instagram, it's Carla Mae O'Connor, all one word. Carla with a C, May ends with an E.
I'll write this all out too. I'll write it out if you need.
CarlaMaeO'Connor.com as well, and then rhythmformer.com.
I love it. Yay. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here all the time and we could connect. And yay, like, subscribe, comment, all the podcast things that I don't even really understand yet. Thanks for being here. Frankie's been with us. See you next time.